program, what are you doing and what have you done to prepare for your elderhood years? I'm Larry Grimm, and my program is Don't Just Age, Engage. Welcome to my program this Tuesday. Every second Tuesday, we convene here for a chance to look at some of the issues around aging in Hawaii, but also aging around the world in various populations and various cultures. My program is based on 5 what I call spiritual tasks. We grow up and we grow older as we age. Growing up is an option, actually. We never really stop growing up. We are always processing new things. And one of the things in this stage of life, you have a childhood, you have an adolescence, you have now an elderhood. One of the things in this stage of life is that we have 5 elements of focus, 5 spiritual tasks that enable us to grow up. And we have to deal with them, or we don't really benefit from this stage of life as fully as we can. The first one is grieving, you saw. The second one is sorting out our stories. We all have stories. If you are looking at sorting out your stuff these days, then you're also sorting out your stories. One of the difficulties in sorting out stuff is that each piece has a story, and it brings back the memory of that event or that occasion when that piece became a part of our lives. Or you may sort out your stories by telling the same story over and over. The next one is forgiving. We all have to clear our conscience, clean up our conscience. The fourth one is preparing, and the fifth one is letting go. Today's session is to focus on preparing for elderhood, preparing for end of life, preparing for the joy that is ahead on the road that we're traveling. I have found a website that I consider to be the most comprehensive and excellent available website, user-friendly for us as we look at this process of aging. The website is called Caregiver Connection of Hawaii. And granted, it is focused on resources here in Hawaii. But as we look at this, no matter where you are, whatever state you're in, these are the elements that are pertinent to the aging process and helpful for us to give attention to when we want to be prepared and prepare our lives for what's coming ahead. So let us go into this with the help of Melissa, the technician. She will click for us on the items that I'd like for us to focus on. This is the resource library, the really heart of this website. And I would refer this to you for one thing, just for this outline of items that show what are the various areas of concern. Now, if you've had a relative, a spouse, or a mother or father, or a child that has needed elder care, then you have already confronted some of these. Let's go back to that and we'll move down these one at a time and take a look at what's available. This one is about Advanced Healthcare Directive. I am of the belief that, and I have been a chaplain for hospice care, been a chaplain in long-term care, and I'm of the belief that everyone needs an advanced directive in these days. None of us really knows what's going to happen. We live in a lot of denial, by the way, which enables us to zoom down the internet highway here at 60 or 70 miles an hour and deny that we're going to get hurt or hurt anybody else as we do. But advanced directive gives us an opportunity to really determine what we want done with our body in various situations and medical need. Click on the Advanced Directive, the top button of the Advanced Directive. This is an Advanced Healthcare Directive form that is used in Hawaii. When you click on this, it will give you the form and you can fill it out and process it and then print it out and have it notarized. And it tells and then file it with your physician, file it with your lawyer, file it with your children, file it with everybody. There are great resources that are available to enable you and your family to talk this over, take on the conversation and talk it over. It's very, very helpful and really quite meaningful for family as they bond together. I can tell you from experience, your adult children are going to say, oh, let's not talk about that. But when you can push through and insist that it's very important that they know what you want to happen in your life, they will make it through the denial that they have and join with you in the process of conversation. So this is advanced directives. Come out of that now. Yeah, and there's another one called the POLST, POLST. The POLST is set up in Hawaii for people who have advanced disease. It may be a breathing problem. It may even be a comorbidity, set of comorbidities that render the body really in a dying situation over perhaps a few months ahead. The POLST directs the kind of care you want for the last end of life months, maybe a year, and you file that as well, and keep it on your refrigerator with a magnet so that if something occurs that you have a crisis in home and someone calls the EMTs, the emergency medical technicians, they'll come and they will look for this POLST and follow its direction from you. Let's come out of that now. Thank you. And let's go back to the resource library. Those are the advanced directives. The next, adult daycares. Have you ever thought about adult daycare that you may need one day or want one day to have a community of adults that you can go to? This is adult daycare. And this just happens to be a long list across Hawaii, the entire state, of available adult daycares. If you have a grandparent or a mother or father who have needed some care during the day and you've been the primary caregiver, you know what a relief it is to have a place and a people with whom they can share part of their lives. And so adult daycare becomes more important to you as elderhood advances. Thank you. Come out of that now, and let's look at the next one, which is, oops, sorry, that one's not available. And the next one after that, COVID resources. We all are overwhelmed with COVID information, but this website offers some thorough look at resources for COVID here in Hawaii. Click on that first one, please. Safe travel overview. Now, all of these come from the subtext or subcategories come from the state of Hawaii, so you have the best up-to-date information. But it gathers it together for you all in one place so that you can take a look at what's required by the state, both for leaving and for coming into the state. So take a look at that if you're planning to travel, hoping to travel. This is also pertinent for families who may have loved ones on hospice care. There were many times in my hospice, I was a chaplain with Bristol Hospice here on the island of Oahu, and there were many times that people came from the mainlands, either from the east or the west, and came to see their dying loved one whom they had not seen for a while, and they needed to be in touch, and so they came. And some of the COVID restrictions need to be considered when we're looking at the possibility of people dying, our loved ones dying, and friends and family wanting to come and be able to say their goodbyes, and do that before our loved one dies. Thank you. That's an excellent COVID resource and keeps up to date. And the next one is, this is home care. The majority of people, when they come into crisis in their lives, want to have, of course, emergency care. And the emergency care with an advanced directive can be defined by each person as to how they would like to have it applied. How much ventilation? And do you want to have a ventilator? Do you want to have it only if it makes possible recovery? Do you want to have it removed if it looks as though it's not going to be able to enhance life? There are various scenarios in our advanced directives that give us a chance to consider what can be done in an emergency situation. Beyond that, there is a possibility of home care. And home care becomes so important for family members who are wanting so much to care for their loved ones and perhaps care for you one day. How do you organize home care? Where are the resources for home care? What payments are available? What resources are available to you should you need to have home care? Or should your spouse or a loved one in your family need to have home care? Home care is also a place to which hospice care can come. In other words, hospice care, once one of us has 6 months prognosis to live, and hospice care can be brought into the home from any of the services that are available on the island or on our islands here, or in your community, wherever you may live on the mainland as well. Developmental Disabilities Division is here available as well. There are people who have particular disabilities or special needs, as we like to say too. And in the elderhood years, they become very critical for consideration on how to have a high quality of life. This portion of the website gives a very good look at the broad range of developmental disabilities and the resources, state level, that are available for the family and for you. If you have a disability that's developing, excuse me, as you age, here is a resource to look at how you can plan for your development as an elder in the elderhood of which you live, to have a high quality of life the way you want it with the help of these resources. Thank you. We come out of that back to the resource library. The next one is Hospice Agencies. Thank you. Now, there are various hospice agencies in the state of Hawaii. There are several on the island of Oahu. There are 5 on the island of Oahu now. And you'll see the long list of hospice care that's available. As I said, hospice care can be brought online for you or for a loved one when a prognosis of 6 months or less to live has been arrived at, conclusion of medical physician. And hospice care, just briefly, inevitably with all services, has 4 primary areas of concern to provide. First, of course, medical. There's medical that covers a physician and a medical director. It covers a CNA. It covers nurse practitioner when needed, as well as a constant nurse that is a regular nurse for your particular care. The second is, what about finances and needs for further kinds of care if need be. Home care, these things can be organized through the very capable help of social workers who know the resources and know the process and the system. Third is a spiritual care, and the fourth, spiritual care and relationship care. And those may come under the auspice of a chaplain or spiritual counselor, as we are called. And those 4 work together as a team to consider the needs of each of our patients. And we say we give a total system of care to address a total system of pain, which can be physical, relational, economic, and spiritual. That's the kind of help that you'll find from a hospice provider. I highly recommend hospice care. And those of you who have experienced it already know the benefits that the whole family can receive in that kind of care. Thank you. Let's come out of that back to the resource. The most expensive part of our aging process, and particularly if we encounter disease and trauma, is housing. There are various levels of housing and care that are available, as you already know. But just generally, independent living is at the top, of course, which we mostly cherish. And most people, when asked, will say they'd like to live at home as long as they can. So as long as you can, you're going to plan for your home, to live in your home. And when you think about living in your home, think about all the possible issues that can arise. You may take some steps now to think about how you could change your housing around so it will be adaptable for you. I have a dear friend who's in her 60s, just retiring, and she rebuilt her bathroom, remodeled her kitchen, and really decided, even though she's very able-bodied right now, decided since she wants to live in her house for the rest of her elderhood, she is going to make it accessible in case she has any injury or debilitation. And so she rebuilt her bathroom so that it could be a walk-in shower, and all the levers and stabilizing bars are in place in case she needs that. From independent living, we go to the level of what's called assisted living. And assisted living is defined by, it can be different in various facilities, but basically it's as the person may want to have help with medication, some of the lower level of needs, make sure that things are, diapers may be changed, that there's concerns for making sure they get adequate meals. All this can be administered in assisted living. The next level is full-time care in the facility, and moving that into nursing care in a facility. Now, facilities are set up, obviously, for the professionals, so that the professionals can adequately care for you and care for me and care for us if need be. And usually they attempt to address the same way that we have mentioned that hospice does. They attempt to address the social needs that we have, the medical needs, as well as the psychological and economic needs that come up. And then beyond that is memory care, usually known as Alzheimer's care, but dementia can be the movement into which our lives go. And it's now that we can take a look at housing when you have a solid mind, a solid look, and critical thinking that you can apply and determine what's going to be needed and meaningful for you as you go through your elderhood. Okay, let's click out of that. Meal services, there are all kinds of meal provisions. Now that so many of us are in COVID restrictions and at home, we're learning how to order out, not just takeout, but to order all kinds of supplies and order all kinds of food, substances, things that we need to do. And there are services available for elders who may need some price cuts on that. Next one, thank you. Palliative care. Palliative care addresses pain. Palliative means to cover, and the medication that's used covers the pain. And so, so often we get concerned about, oh, Is my loved one going to get addicted? Well, this is not really an issue when we're in the time of life of elderhood. But we do need to be able to cover the pain so that we can continue to enjoy life and continue to get the most richest experience of growing older together with our family members. Next, let's see what we have next. The Office of Healthcare Assurance, durable metal. These are medical suppliers. Comes into very important consideration when a medical need asks for physical support of any kind and medical machines. Thank you. Senior centers, again, senior centers can be a respite for caregivers, but also it can be a community life for people who are in their elder years. And when that happens, you can find that people are really enlivened by the opportunity to go to some of these. And when COVID is over and the programs are recharged and redeveloped, you'll look into senior center. It'd be good to go by a senior center at a time when you can look at it and understand what it's like, just to see if that's part of what you want to factor into your elderhood. Thank you. Support groups, and this will be the last one we'll look at. Support groups are very important for caregivers, especially, and family members. And you may want to be alert to those for your own life, just so that you know what to refer your family to when you want to live your elder years as you in the way that you want to. You want them to have a respite. You want them to have some others with whom they can share the journey and share the emotional burden of caregiving if that need be. I want you to please go to this website, caregiverconnectionofhawaii.org. And wherever you live, go to this website and check out the list of concerns, the list of resources and the concerns, because wherever you live, those are still going to be the concerns and the preparation for growing older and your elderhood, wherever you live. I do personal coaching for life and faith, and I specialize in elderhood. Personalcoachingforlifeandfaith.com is my website, and I invite you to go there and check out, click around, find the things that are of interest to you. I am committed to helping people not feel as though they are victims of aging. Don't be a victim of aging, but prepare for your elder years with all the resources available, emotional, as well as spiritual, as well as material resources. They're abundant, and I will help locate them, move you through the spiritual and emotional dimensions, and enable you to make your elderhood truly extraordinary. Thank you for joining with me. 2 weeks from now, we'll look at letting go, the last of the 5 spiritual tasks of elderhood. Thank you very much for joining me, and I look forward to being able to hear your comments and questions when you come back in 2 weeks. Aloha.